Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them, but hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them, and they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah, please.
Mr. Trump, hi, Nadav Elimelech, 24 News Israel. Would you support the overthrow of the Iranian regime?
Who?
Iranian regime.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime. They've got a lot of problems that are in. They have tremendous inflation. Their economy is bust. Their economy is no good. And I know that people aren't so happy, but don't forget, every time they have a riot or somebody forms a group, little or big, they start shooting people. They kill people. And the people tend to... I've watched this for years. There's tremendous discontent. They form 100,000, 200,000 people. All of a sudden, people start getting shot. And that group disbands pretty quickly. So I've watched it for years. They're vicious people, yeah.
Mr. President, will you support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran, if Iran will not have a deal? If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons?
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay? One will be yes, absolutely. The other was, we'll do it immediately.
It's hard for me to tell you what the U.S. would do because that's a policy decision that will be made at the White House, not at the ambassador level in Israel. All I can do is point to you what the president has said repeatedly. And he consistently has said Iran is never going to enrich uranium and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And he's continued to say that well in advance of the war, and he's never changed that message after the war, and he's continued to say it. Iran, I don't know that they ever took him seriously until the night that the B-2 bombers went to Fordow. I hope they got the message, but apparently they didn't get the full message because, as you have mentioned, they appear to be trying to reconstitute and find a new way to dig the hole deeper, secure it more. It presents a threat, but not just to Israel, not just to the United States. This presents a real threat to all of Europe. And if the Europeans don't understand this, then they're even dumber than I sometimes think they are. And that's rather undiplomatic to say, but you look at some of the things that they say and do, although I will say that I'm happy to see that they put back in some snapback provision on Iran, which was very important. And the more of those kind of things will help to maybe choke off some of Iran's ability to do what they're trying to do. But bottom line is, I think the president has made it clear that this is not just about Israel. This is about the United States. Iran has threatened America for 46 consecutive years. From 1979, when the Ayatollahs took power, they've always said, death to Israel, death to America, in the same sentence. This was never a separation. Israel is only the appetizer because you're closer and you're an easier target than the vast geographical expanse that represents the United States. But they've never hidden the fact that the real entree, their ultimate goal, is to destroy the United States, because if you want to destroy Western civilization and move the world back to the 7th century and take us back to a place that, thank God, doesn't exist anymore, then you cannot do that without taking the United States down. And that's why they have said for all of these 46 years, death to America.
is now believed to be advancing its missile program into an entirely new and highly unconventional phase, moving beyond traditional explosives toward warheads, designed to shift the balance of power in the region. Reports of an Iranian drive to develop biological and chemical warheads surfaced, just as fears of a fresh and potentially larger Iran-Israel confrontation began to intensify across the Middle East. Military and intelligence sources say Tehran is assembling a deadlier arsenal that it sees as a complementary deterrent, intended to sit alongside its conventional missiles and dramatically raise the costs of any attack. According to military sources quoted by Iran International, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is actively developing biological and chemical warheads tailored for long-range ballistic missiles. These sources suggest Tehran has quietly shifted focus from simply extending missile range to fundamentally changing the nature of the warheads, concentrating on non-conventional payloads instead of just distance or accuracy. Unnamed military sources told Iran International, the Iranian leadership views potential Israeli and American attacks as a threat to its very existence and intends, in the event of a conflict, to significantly raise the cost for the opposing side. There is a perception at the highest decision-making levels that the use of unconventional weapons can be justified in situations of existential threat. Intelligence services were tracking command and control signals, as well as deployments and logistical movements linked to the force. The IRGC Aerospace Force is said to be spearheading the push to equip Iran's ballistic missiles with unconventional warheads, turning its missile arm into a more flexible and potentially far more dangerous strategic tool. At the same time as these warheads are being developed, the IRGC has reportedly been shifting mobile missile launchers toward eastern Iran, signaling both preparation and dispersal to complicate any foreign strike plans. Sources say this warhead work has accelerated sharply over recent months, tracking closely with a rise in regional tensions and growing concern in Tehran that another crisis could erupt without warning. Tehran is described as increasingly fearful of another direct showdown with both Israel and the United States, and sees advanced unconventional warheads as a way to deter or complicate any future assault. Reports indicate the Israeli Prime Minister is preparing to brief President Donald Trump on possible future strike options against Iran, underscoring how seriously Israel views these new warhead developments. Israeli officials are said to fear that Iran has been quietly rebuilding key missile production sites and repairing damaged air defenses since the June attacks, restoring capabilities that earlier strikes tried to degrade. According to multiple reports, IRGC programs now include fine-tuning existing missiles so they can more efficiently deliver chemical and biological agents, modifying payloads and flight profiles for maximum effect on target areas. The IRGC is also reportedly upgrading command and control systems tied to these missiles, aiming for tighter centralized control and more secure communications before any decision to use unconventional warheads is made. Sources add that the Guard views biological and chemical capability as a complementary deterrent, designed to work alongside conventional missiles rather than replace them, thereby multiplying Iran's leverage in any crisis. Earlier, Western intelligence agencies had flagged unusual movements and signals around the IRGC Aerospace Force, prompting them to step up surveillance and closely watch what they suspect are unconventional programs. Regional analysts warn that if biochemical warheads are ever confirmed and deployed, they would drastically alter the Middle East's deterrence balance and force neighboring states to rethink their own security postures. Experts also argue that any actual deployment of these weapons would spark intense global condemnation and likely unleash a new wave of sanctions and diplomatic isolation for Tehran. Tehran, however, continues to insist that it does not seek weapons of mass destruction, repeatedly stressing its public commitment to international non-proliferation rules and nuclear treaty obligations even as suspicions grow.